Thank you very much, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Um, First, I have a special thanks for accommodating me and taking me from the later session to this particular session. And so a special thanks are due to all the organizers, Preeti, to the chairperson and everybody. Let me also thank Professor Kambayat for giving me this opportunity. I heard about this institute for a long period and read about it. I was also involved in some activities of this place, but this is the first time I came here and I found it's an excellent place and with excellent hospitality. So I'm really grateful to him for giving me this opportunity, and I indeed feel it a privilege to be a part of this grand conference on a very, very important theme that we are discussing. But let me also say that I'm feeling a little bit odd because I'm one of the very, very few persons who comes from the education sector, while all the Jains are here who are deeply involved with the technical training, skill provision, development of curriculum, etc. But I'm an educational planner and a policy analyst. With that limitation, let me start. I feel that strongly that vocational and technical education programs should be an integral part of the education system, even though that is also being provided outside the formal educational system. After independence, there are quite a few important policy goals that were set up for the education sector, from elementary education to higher education, including vocational education. And we made some important progress with respect to every sector: primary education, secondary education, higher education, and also in research. And we also have a goal of literacy for all, and we did make some important progress. But we also felt that vocational education is important because for a newly industrializing economy, newly independent industrializing economy, it's very important. And we need a shift in the occupational structure from farm to non-farm activities. And we also recognize that there will be unemployment of the higher educated people in a grand scale if we allow the grand scale expansion. So to reduce the pressures on higher education also, we need vocational education. We set up some goals with respect to vocational education, saying that 25 to 50% of the students in secondary and higher secondary education would necessarily be enrolled in vocational streams with a pre-work education in 1 to 8 as an introduction to the concept of vocational education. Rather, pre-vocational education programs in 9 to 10 and formal vocational education programs in 11 to 12 have been the strategies and goals. We also have certain initiatives that we have taken with respect to vocational education, setting up of multi-purpose schools, socially useful productive work schemes, learning by doing, involving national open schooling system for providing vocational technical education, and there are not 100 million youth. While we made reasonably good progress with respect to many other educational goals, with respect to vocational education, I think we are seriously disappointed because the program did not take off at all. And the net result is hardly 5% of the labor force, young labor force of 20 to 24, are actually having some vocational and technical skills compared to more than 50% in many Western countries, whether United States, Germany, South Korea, etc., etc. And one of the important problems that we find is with respect to the demand for education and also with respect to the supply of vocational education. There is a poor demand for education because there is a poor status that was accorded to vocational education in the society. We didn't care for dignity of labor at all, an important value that should have been given to all the people. The status of the vocational education in the education system and status of vocational school products in the labor market is very, very low. People also suspected in the very beginning that this is in fact, somebody said it's like a Brahminical conspiracy against the poor sections to have vocational streams, saying that higher education would be reserved for the better off sections of the society. So for various reasons, vocational education did not progress at all. But we should also say that the policy emphasis on vocational education was extremely small. Inadequate funding, inadequate number of schools and teachers, and very little attention was given to this. We also find that external efficiency in the 1960s and 70s with respect to vocational education was not attractive in terms of wage premiums or in terms of simply the rates of return. But today, in this context, we are talking about reforming vocational and technical education in a big way. But the present context is really challenging. We have some developmental goals of Industrial Revolution 4.0 to develop the economy into something like a $5 trillion economy or a $10 trillion economy and develop a globally competitive workforce. But we also find, importantly, quite a few important opportunities to do it because we find huge demand for vocational and technical education today compared to 1960s and 70s. There is a big demographic dividend that many people yesterday and today have highlighted. And the globalization has lots of challenges, but also provides lots of opportunities. The production systems are extremely highly diversified, from manufacturing sectors to the service sectors in a big way, and a new service sector is emerging in a big way. And we also have an ICT revolution. But at the same time, if you are planning for large-scale vocational technical education programs, we do find some important challenges because the nature and type of skills that are required, the quantum of skills that are required cannot be predicted, particularly in a dynamically, rapidly changing socio-economic and particularly economic system. So the economy is also, in fact, highly diversified. We have an agrarian economy, an industrial revolution, fast-growing modern service sector, and in fact, a digital world, globalized markets, and et cetera, et cetera. Yesterday, we heard that 75 million jobs would disappear, but 135 million jobs would be created. But that's not a simple equation. The remaining 75 million have to be really reskilled, upskilled, et cetera, et cetera. So we need really completely unimaginatively new skills. And we talk about many things, IoT, AR, VR, et cetera, some of which we do not know very well. What is very clear is that we need a new generation of teachers and trainers also, and a highly dynamically thinking leadership and innovative strategies if we want to really have a successful program of vocational technical education. And we need, of course, huge investments. This is in this context the National Policy and Education Committee was constituted, and it went into several aspects of education, including vocational and technical education. And it has made quite a few important major recommendations for the education sector as a whole, but also very specifically for the vocational and technical education. It recognized that vocational education is crucial for the widening of the millions of people joining and already in the workforce. And it must be made an attractive option to the students to choose from. What it has suggested is, I think there are 5 or 6 major important strategies that it has suggested. One, of course, the whole higher education has to be comprehensive in nature. So we will not have standalone universities, in single discipline universities particularly. So we do not know what will happen to the skilled universities. But if we go by the committee's recommendation, those universities are also expected to become comprehensive universities. It also wanted integration. In fact, that's a major program, major idea, and major approach of the committee was to have an integrated approach to the entire education system, including general, vocational, professional, technical education to come under one major category of higher education with very, very close linkage, recognizing the close linkages between them for proper knowledge development. It also, in fact, another important focus that the committee has made is a heavy focus on liberal education. And even with respect to vocational and technical education, it was very clearly stated that they have to be really integrated with the liberal education. Liberal education forms the basis. And that provides, in case of this VTE, a very, very clear specific skills that we are talking about briefly, attitudinal changes, values, and also different kinds of different skills, different non-technical skills. They would come from a broad-end liberal education approach to the entire education. The committee has also suggested that we'll have a lifelong approach to vocational technical education. So, and it is for everybody, for school children, for school dropouts, for labor force, for unemployed people, for et cetera, and we'll have a variety of programs. An important point that the committee has made is made a provision for mobility of the graduates, both horizontal mobility and vertical mobility, in the sense that horizontal mobility between vocational and secondary streams, and between vocational streams, between different streams, and of course also vertical mobility between within vocational education and also with higher education. So those who have completed vocational technical education can choose the subjects in such a way that they can go for higher and higher levels of education. and there'll be multiple choices for the students. In fact, vocational education programs will also be part of the 4-year undergraduate programs, and that's an important measure that the committee has suggested. It also suggests the involvement of all the people, including not only the teachers, formal teachers, trainers, instructors, etc., but recognizing the importance and India's heritage, local arts, local crafts. In fact, it has coined a word, lokvidya, which is a traditional vidya that we have in the villages still, and also sometimes in the towns. And that has to be integrated into the formal vocational stream, along with, of course, the modern technical skills that we are talking about nowadays. So there is a large scale, a massive approach of integration, integrated approach to the education as a whole, including vocational and technical education in a very, very clear way. In fact, there are quite a few important other measures, but it also clearly suggested that vocational education would be at all levels of education, at schools, universities, and colleges, and everybody should necessarily take a vocational subject along with others, and some would specialize more, but necessarily minimum at least one vocational subject. And 50% of all enrollments in the secondary schools and higher education institutions will necessarily have vocational qualifications so that they prepare for the future labor market in a very, very big way. It's very, very important that we have BVOC, Bachelor's Degree in Vocational Education, that will also be a 4-year degree program with, I think, with the due respect and credits attached to it, so that both the individuals in the society and also the labor market respects those degrees and puts high premium. But still, I think we should recognize that the problems, the committee has made quite a few important suggestions, some of which are not completely new, but some of which are also some new thinking has taken place in a very big way. But strategies have to be still worked out. It's good to have an integrated approach. It's good to have a comprehensive understanding of the entire system and make everybody compulsory to have all the kinds of subjects, vocational, general, technical, professional, et cetera, including fine arts, so that we produce all-round personalities, of course, with specific skills of the kind that we wanted. While that is very easily said, that would be a really big challenge for the entire system of education. And I'll stop here, and I thank you very, very much for the opportunity given to me.
Thank you very much, Professor B.G. Tilakji, for reforming vocational education and technical vocational education in India, challenges and prospects. Sir, very thoughtful presentation. Once again, thanks a lot. So now any question from the audience for this session or for this speaker? So the questions are welcome. As sir has to leave the session because he has his flight at 2:30. So I think that this is the time for presentation of memento and the certificate. So now I request Madam Sunita to kindly come. And I request the chairperson of this session, Professor Thinka Chalmohanji, to kindly present the certificate and memento. So now we are starting the second technical session on technical vocational education and training for rural transformation and sustainable development goals 2030 implementation. For this session, we have the dignitaries on dais. So I Hearty welcome all the dignitaries on dais and all the respected audience. On behalf of our institute and on my behalf, I welcome you all to this session. We have the chairperson, Dr. Thanika Chalam, as a chairperson. He is professor, retired professor NITTTR Chennai. We have the speakers, Dr. Inigo Eredgui, international manager, Univoc network member, Spain. Sir, I welcome you. The next speaker is our joint director, Professor Rajesh Khambayat, joint director, PSSCIV Bhopal. Sir, I welcome you in this session. We have Dr. Noor Naqshbandi. He is program director, German Society of International Cooperation, India. Sir, I welcome you for this session. And our most respected Professor Shyamal Majumdar, sir, former head UNESCO Univoc International Center, Bonn, Germany. Sir, you are welcome for this session. Hearty welcome for this session. Dr. Krishna Papseti, he is Chief Executive Officer, Green Eco Water System, Hyderabad. Sir, I welcome you for this session. Dr. Ashok Talori, Dr. Ashok Talori, CEO, Aquaponics, Hyderabad. Most welcome, sir. And the next speaker is Dr. B.K. Datta. He is Director, Vivekanand Institute of Biotechnology, Kolkata. So I once again welcome our chairperson and all the speakers in this session. Before we start the session, I give a brief introduction of our chairperson. Dr. Thanika Chalam is PhD in filter design from Madras University and MS from the Institute of System Technology, Indiana University, USA. Dr. Vedatri served as professor and head of the department for international affairs at National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, Chennai. He worked as nodal officer for World Bank assisted projects in technical education and as program executive for other development projects under IDAS. He is also a former senior researcher under Fulbright scheme of USA. He is one of the selected members of Pi Lambda Theta Honor Society of Education USA. Academically, he guided 18 PhD scholars in the interdisciplinary degree in engineering education and authored textbooks, drawing manuals, laboratory manuals, and more than 200 research papers and project reports. He has been a part of many development projects under Asian Development Bank, GIZ, SIDA, UNDP, UNESCO, USAID, and World Bank. So now this is the time for chairing the session. So now I request our chairperson to kindly chair the session and invite the speakers for presentation. I request you to kindly invite Professor Noor first because he has to leave the session a little bit early. So now the session starts with you.
We'll start the first session. It will go to Increasing Quality in TVET System, Practical Approaches by GIZ. The speaker is Dr. Noor Naqshbandi, and he is going to give the most important information based on the German Society's international cooperation, what they have done in India. I request the speaker to give this one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening to all of you. Hola, ¿qué tal? Because I think you are from Spain, and guten Tag because I am from Germany. I'm Very happy to be here. Professor Majumdar, Professor Hambayat, I think it's great what you have been organizing, all of you. This is something that we as German Development Cooperation also here in this country have told our partner, our political partner is the Ministry for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship many times, that we need to bring the most important actors when it comes to the ecosystem of skilling together. I have to be, unfortunately, quite quick because my flight is also at 2:30 to Delhi. I'm so sorry, but it was already late, but thank you very much again. And this is India. It's so great for your flexible change of the program. What I would like to talk about, actually, I'm not really fit for this session. I'm actually one person, let's say it like this, from the last session, because I would like to talk about excellence and our learnings here in India and what should be done more when it comes to the TVET system, and especially when it comes to the aspect of quality. Let me first say maybe a few words for those who don't know GIZ. What this organization is. It is the German Development Corporation, not the society, and it is 100% state-owned company by the German government. And we are implementing this development projects of the German government in almost 100 countries all over the world. And here in India, I am responsible director for the topics private sector development and education. And one of the projects which I will talk about here in India is the Indo-German program for vocational education training, where we are working together with the MSDE. I think I don't have to talk in this room about the importance of TVET. We have roughly 1.3 million young people seeking jobs every month in this country. Every month, not every day, not every year, not all 10 years, but every month. And I think this is, of course, a huge challenge that this country has to tackle. I'm very happy to have heard, I was already a little bit earlier here, that we have, I think in that area over there, a lot of teachers, because at the end of the day, and this is also my talk, will be based not so much on the policy, although we are doing, like UNESCO, quite a lot on the policy level together with the ministry, but we are much more in so-called clusters all over India. Right now we're focusing on 6, but we will have up to 35 clusters in the coming years. And we are working very strongly together with the ITIs, with the system which is here in place in India, and try together with the Indian colleagues to improve it. But first of all, because quality is, I want to talk about quality and the importance of quality. I know India is a large country and you have to reach the numbers, this is clear, but without good qualified people, the numbers don't mean anything. I have to say it very strongly here. But what does quality mean in the TVET system? One, labor market relevance. The students who are going to ITIs, who are doing in-company, other forms of trainings, have to be trained in a way that there is a match with the companies and the industry. And right now, I have to tell you, and as I said, I would like to share some of our experiences here in India. Unfortunately, a lot of the programs are not aligned with the needs of industry, and this is something that needs to be changed. 2, which is very important when it comes to quality, is the aspect of learner-oriented teaching. What does it mean? I think that also India, as in a lot of countries, has more, I would call it a talk and chalk lesson. You have somebody in the front discussing something, presenting something. But in the environment which we are right now, in the world which we are right now, talking about, for example, digitalization, if we really want our kids to be innovative, we cannot just stand in front and say something. They have to be the ones who are instrumental part of the teaching. So we need to do learning out of the box in order to reach innovation, and we have to focus from frontal training to a form of training where the student is in the center. And thirdly, a point which is important when it comes to quality is the aspect of lifelong learning. You are not learning anymore in this world just some subject and that's it. We all have to improve, have to learn new aspects. As you know yourself, we talk about Industry 4.0, the innovations are so fast that we have to teach the students in a way that they are open and receptive to new learnings. And India has a very specific problem in my point of view. It's somewhere between Industry 3.0 and Industry 4.0. On the one side, you are great and in the forefront when it comes to Industry 4.0, no question. If I say Bangalore, everybody of you have a lot of pictures and ideas, Infosys, etc., etc. On the other side, you still are working, which is good, on improving the area of manufacturing. So that's why I am talking about Industry 3.5, where somewhere in between 3.0 and 4.0. And something that I think we all have to keep in mind, quality is never an accident. It is always the result of intelligent effort. So we all have to work together in having a qualified and quality system. So what are we doing and what are we going to do? What is the focus? Where do we think are the areas which we need to tackle? I would like to talk about 3 areas, and I know there are many more, but from our practical experiences, I would like to focus on 3 areas where we, together with our partners here in India and with all of you, would like to work on. One is the aspect of public-private cooperation in TVET. We have made quite a lot of experiences that show that the connect between industry and government in India is not as it should be. Unfortunately, it's more that each of this group is talking about the other group than talking to each other and with each other. And this is something we would like to support, we would like to bring together. There are some, under this point, there are some specifics. In our clusters, we are working very strongly together with industrial organizations, with business associations. Due to the fact that in the past, quite a lot of business associations were not really involved in the official state TVET system, we also need to do capacity development on that side. What does it mean to be an actor in the TVET system? And of course, what we use as Germans coming from the German system is the dual VET system. Here, a point of caution. We are not taking the German system and bringing it one-to-one to India. That is impossible. We're taking some ideas, some learnings adapted to the region, and this is also, India is a huge country. I would never say to all India. That's why we have clusters. We are, for example, in Bangalore, we're in Aurangabad, we're in Delhi. In that area, we adapt some ideas and try to bring together industry on the one side and public sector on the other side. What else needs to be done? Processes, a lot of you might know this, but still it's a point that I need to focus on. Processes, especially in the public sector, when it comes to certification, when it comes to all these areas, need to be improved and need to be made much, much quicker. Because a lot of private sector companies, private sector organizations who want to work in the TVET sector lose their interest, lose their attention if it takes 6 months, 1 year, 2 years only to get an approval for something. And as I said earlier, and I underline this again, it is important the capacity development of business associations themselves to understand what role they can play in the system. Right now, I have stressed this, we are working in 6 clusters all over the country, and especially together with partners like World Bank and the Strive and Sankalp program, with which we have a very strong connection. We would like to get from 6 clusters up to 35, and the colleague from UNESCO said it, one aspect here is a lot of cross-learning. We have already quite a lot of models which function very well in those clusters, so we try not to reinvent the wheel, but this cross-learning will be important. A next point, and here I come to what I think it was the colleague from Kashmir who had talked earlier, is the aspect of training of trainers. First of all, we have to underline and highlight the importance of trainers, and if I can ask all of you, for all the trainers who are here, I would like to clap one more time for them, because at the end of the day, we can talk on these levels a lot, and we have a lot of policy ideas and so on and so forth. The implementation, as the colleague said, is happening in the classroom, and we have to really pay our respect to these men and women. what are we doing? We are working very closely together with the trainers. One aspect is, of course, the reputation for this, the respect and also the reputation of trainers has to be increased. And what we try to do together in the trainer system is what I have alluded to earlier, that we change the form of training from frontal training to a learner-centric understanding. What does it mean? So that, again, the student is in the middle and we think about the student. What does the student need? Also, of course, especially when it comes to trainers who are working in ITIs, we really try to have this industry connect through industry visits for these institute-based trainers. And our second phase of our program here, we will also focus very strongly, which is, I think, in India, an untapped area, the so-called in-company trainers, where we would like to set together with our partners, especially also NSDC, MSDE, some standard when it comes to in-company trainers. Also, and this is an example which we specifically have in Bivadi, the trainer courses that we have also focus a lot on implementing or integrating many aspects of digitalization. What we have already done is, for example, in Bivadi, is that we use virtual reality in order to train these students. Lastly, and I think this is an aspect in general which is important, not just here, also in our own country in Germany, it's and we don't talk about it often, it's the reputation of the TVET system, the reputation in general. It's something we need to work on it also. We cannot just think that and believe that if we improve the quality here and there, we have a good TVET system. We must make it more attractive for students to come and be students in the TVET system. Not everybody can become a doctor. Not everybody can become, an academic. I think this is also an aspect which we need to work on, and it's something which is crucial. I would like, unfortunately, due to the time constraints that I have, stop at this point. I would like to summarize one aspect which shows, again, this conference. I think it is also very important at the very end that as cheesy that this might sound, and you have heard many times, that the actors in the system work together. And last problem that I see, and with this I would like to finish, and also with the invitation to work much closer together, is we are working in silos. I think the ideas are already there. We don't need too many new ideas for the system. Not every week a new idea, not every week a new system. It's already there. Let's try to come together and use the ideas, make cross-learning. And for this reason, again, especially to the organizers of this event, thank you very much for inviting us. And I can, from our side, really tell you we would so in the country. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now we will honor the speaker.
Thank you, Professor Noor. As he has to leave for the flight, so I request our chairperson to kindly honor him with memento and certificate.
Our next speaker is Dr. Inigo, and he will be talking about framework for analysis, the state of the art. We will request him to do that.
So, good morning everyone. I'm Iñigo Araiztegui and I come from the Basque Country, a region in the northeast part of Spain. So I come from the same region as the director Ricard, who had the presentation in the last session. I come from Technica and I'm the director of the International Department of Technica. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate you for this initiative on the conference, and then also to express my gratitude to all the staff, but especially to my panel neighbors, Dr. Rashid and Dr. Rajesh, sorry, and Dr. Shamal Majumdar for inviting us to be here. So, yeah, I had in mind something when I was coming here, but then yesterday I decided to change my presentation. The reason is that it's my second day in India, and I felt it too arrogant to tell you what you should do in the rural area. I don't know enough about the country, so I will just try to give you some ideas that have been working for us, but not kind of instructions. And yesterday I was thinking that TVET can learn a lot from trees, so this is why I decided to name my presentation The Teachings of a Tree. And I will actually share 4 main teachings of a tree. So first of all, we all see this tree. It's a beautiful tree. There are many different trees, as there are many different bed systems. But we also can see there are clouds, because without clouds, we don't have rain, and without rain, we can have trees. And in the same way, we can see the sunshine, because without sunshine, the tree cannot grow. And at the same time, we can see the earth, and we can see many, many elements. So let's say that the tree is part of a bigger system. It's not an isolated element in itself, but it's part of a bigger system. Also, when I look at the tree, I have to recognize that they give us a lot of benefits. They make oxygen for us, and they also give us fruit, and they are, of course, beautiful. They make our landscape beautiful. So they have benefits for our communities. Also, when we look at the tree, we only see what's on the surface, but they are firmly rooted in the ground. They have very deep roots, very strong roots. But at the same time, they are rooted, okay? But they are open to the world. Their branches open to the sky. And then, of course, when we see an old tree like this one, we have to feel that his life has not been that easy. He has overcome so many difficulties, maybe some diseases, strong winds, storms, even wars, whatever. So I will try to make an analogy between some aspects that I see in a tree that are fully applicable to the bed system and that have been working for us in the Basque Country. So let me start by the systemic view. So the same as the tree needs the cloud and needs the rain and needs the sun and needs the earth and needs to be part of a whole system, it's quite similar for the TVET Center. When you think about a TVET Center, you have to think about something that is aligned to some policy. Talking about a rural area, I'm sure that the government in India has some policies. It's important for a TVET Center to be aligned in this policy. Also, it's important to integrate different services, not just being a training center, but a kind of heart of the community, where you can train unemployed people, you can train workers, you can provide entrepreneurship opportunities, and so on. Not just teaching, but different services. And also, you have to collaborate with different agents. In our case, we collaborate with companies, with universities, with governments, but in your area, you have to find which are the right collaborations for you. But it's important to, again, to be the same as the tree, to be part of a bigger system. The next teaching, the second one, is to be beneficial for the community. The same as the tree is beneficial for a community, TVET is or should be beneficial for the community. And here I see 2 main elements that should be taken into account when thinking about TVET. First of all, give some services to the community. So trees make oxygen, they give us fruit, they are beautiful, but what does the TVET Center do? In our case, in the Basque Country, as my director said, we train unemployed people, we train workers, we also have recognition systems for people who have been working, we also provide entrepreneurship opportunities, and so on. But just think of how can you give a service to your community. And at the same time, we are living a technological change. Some people say it's a revolution, some people say it's a disruption, some people say it's innovation. Whatever it is, technology itself is valueless, it's not good, it's not bad, but it's your use of technology that can make a benefit or can make something bad for your community. So this is something that we also should take into account. We are training persons, and we are training persons to make a good use of technology and to be beneficial for communities. I have a video. We have many examples in the Basque Country of the use of technology with beneficial ends, but I will just share one example that is related to the rural area.
De trabajo colaborativa relacionada con la bioeconomía aplicada, con el objetivo de trabajar en red entre diferentes familias de formación profesional y materializar proyectos multidisciplinares, se inicia un proyecto basado en la alimentación sostenible y su aplicación en la economía circular.
Veíamos la posibilidad de, en este grupo de trabajo, colaborar y establecer sinergias entre los centros de agraria, que son los que producen alimentos agrícolas y ganaderos, los centros de procesos de industrias alimentarias, que son los que procesan y nos enseñan al final tecnologías nuevas y procesos de elaboración alimentaria nuevos, y los centros de hostelería, que al final son los que consumen y elaboran los alimentos.
Los centros de la familia agraria estudian diferentes puntos de vista. Por un lado, respetan las características, las temporadas y las condiciones de producción de los productos. Por otro, aplican tecnologías innovadoras como la agricultura de precisión, la acuaponía o la utilización de drones, respetando siempre las reglas de la economía sostenible. Los centros de la familia de industrias alimentarias procesan los alimentos y los centros de hostelería los consumen y elaboran. Las escuelas implicadas en la economía circular suministran así productos, servicios y procesos a otras escuelas profesionales, generando unas sinergias colaborativas de trabajo y transfiriendo el conocimiento generado entre el profesorado y el alumnado. No obstante, el ciclo no se cierra hasta que se devuelve a la tierra parte de lo que ha dado. Los residuos orgánicos generados en estos procesos se utilizan para elaborar abonos orgánicos que sustituyen a los abonos químicos artificiales y se utilizan en las huertas de las escuelas agrarias. Los alimentos que han llegado a los platos han sido producidos, procesados y cocinados en la zona. El camino recorrido revaloriza el trabajo de los productores y de los productos locales, respeta el medio ambiente y fomenta hábitos de consumo sostenibles y saludables, así como la colaboración y el aprendizaje mutuo.
Okay, so it was just an example of a circular economy project in the rural area. We have more examples, but I thought this one was relevant for the topic of the speech. Then let me go on with the third teaching of the tree. So we've said that you have to be part of a bigger system, that you have to give some benefit to the community and make good use of technology to help people, to help the environment and not to harm it. But also we said that the tree is firmly rooted and it's open to the sky with its branches. And I think that it's more and more a necessity to follow this approach for a TVET center in these times. So first of all, what means to be firmly rooted? Well, here in India you have probably one of the most richest culture in the world. In this single country you have so many different cultures, religions, languages, traditions, everything. It's a huge country with a lot of cultural richness. So being part of a community, you have to be and feel proud of it and be grateful to all your ancestors for all the work they have done to give you a better future. And it's a vital element of a TVET center to be really anchored in a community and to feel part of it. But at the same time, you cannot forget that innovation is happening and things are moving, and also that at the international level, there are a lot of things happening. So you have to be at the same time rooted but open to the world and open to innovation and practicing networking and partnership with other countries, because it will really help you to provide better services to your community in the end. So in the Basque Country, we are, of course, very proud of our culture, our language, and everything, but it doesn't mean that we are close to the world. As Ricardo said, we are working in different innovation projects, but we are also networking in different international networks. He has mentioned the work we do with the European Commission, but I'd like to mention, following it, the work we do with UNEVOC, which was led by Shamar till 1 month or so on. So yeah, it's important as well to be part of a bigger community in the world. Then the last lesson that I can see in this tree is that a tree can teach us to be optimistic, because if we see a tree, and especially if it's old, we know that it has overcome so many difficulties. Well, it was a project launched by the NASA, the space agency, in the 90s, where they were experiencing with space colonization. So they were trying to grow foods and animals in closed environments, in protected, completely closed environments, because they wanted to know if we can, in the future, go to different planets and live in closed environments. And yeah, the project took place in Arizona in the 90s, and it was unsuccessful. And yeah, the curious thing is why it was unsuccessful, because the trees didn't develop the hardwood. And you know why? Because the trees need wind. Without wind, they cannot be strong, they don't have a structure, and they cannot grow. So I see there a lesson of optimism. Even if we are facing, or you are facing in the rural area, some difficulties, if you can overcome them, they will give you, the same as a tree, a strong structure that will make you stronger for the future. So I will wrap up by saying that from just with a quick view to a tree, with a quick look, we can understand that it makes sense to be part of a bigger system, to be rooted in our community but open to the world, to work to help our communities, and to be optimistic in overcoming difficulties. And let me finalize by, okay, I have a picture here. When we arrived here, we were, our guests took us to the, how was the name? The Garden of Friendship. Garden of Friendship. Friendship Garden. That's it. So we were in the Friendship Garden, and then they had some trees prepared there to be planted in the ground. And you can see here my director planting the tree, but I think everybody here planted a tree. And the tree will be here in Bhopal, I guess for hundreds or even thousands of years. It will be growing. And in the Garden of Friendship, I can only say that I also expect that our friendship can grow the same as the tree will be growing in the Garden of Friendship. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, we are going to have a detailed information on greening TVET for sustainability. Speaker is Dr. Rajesh Kambayat. I hope you'll be able to provide more information for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tanikachalam, the chairperson of this session. I also would like to acknowledge my panelists, co-panelists on the share. First of all, a very good afternoon to all of you. It is indeed a pleasure for me as an organizer to share some of our understanding on a very important issue which my colleague from Spain has just talked about it, taking the example of tree. I wish we had more trees, probably the issue would not have come what we are all facing about it. Can we have the lights off, please? Yeah. I'll be speaking of our understanding on how we are promoting greening TVET for sustainability. I will be making a very short presentation, basically focusing on what is the background for every one of us to understand, what are the current realities in which we are going through, why it is so significant sustainable development, how PSSCIV is advocating greening TVET, and what are the major interventions and approaches we have advocated, and a small case study of our institution. Though we are in an early stage of greening, but I think it will be interesting for the audience to know how educational institution like us we are doing about it. I think there is no second school of thought on one very important. You will all agree with me, we only have one Mother Earth and we co-share that. It doesn't matter which part of the world we belong, but we share the one Earth. And this is very, very important for all of us. We have seen in the last decade, whether it is a developing country or a developed country, everybody has only one priority: economic growth, economic prosperity of the people. But it is at the cost of the environment. And I am finding it now, majority of the countries in the world at a crossroad, whether to follow the economic track of growth development or to compromise on the environment. And this is one of the challenge. And that's why you will see around us, it is not a surprise for everyone that there is growing global, rise in the global temperature. I'm tracking from 2009 till 2019, and every year we are finding there is a growing increase in the sea level. And if the rate at which this increase in the sea level is happening, we should not be surprised that Maldives will not be seen on the earth. It will be already under the earth, under the sea. This is very important. It is not the fault of the Maldives altogether. It's a very small, beautiful country. But all this impact is seen by some part of the world. Another important thing is population explosion. India is going to be the second largest country today in the population, and very soon will be the first largest country in the world which is having the highest number of population. And another thing is there is a growing use of exploitation of natural resources, unprecedented in the history of humankind. There are a number of data, a number of statistics can validate this fact that we are go on increasing the exploitations and all that. And that's why every year we keep a new record. 2009, 2010, 2019 is always declared as the hottest year in the world. I'm not surprised if 2020 also followed the same track of having the hottest year in this one. When we see statistically, different regions in the world are also contributing to this carbon emission. And naturally, US, China, particularly in our region, are the major contributor to this carbon dioxide emission per region, followed by Europe is also equally catching up and all that one. Now, when we see all this contribution of different region, the impact is felt by some other part of the world. And as you can see here, this is the entire Asia-Pacific region. This entire Asia-Pacific region, and you can see the list of the countries. Bangladesh is at a very extreme category of getting impacted because of this environmental change, climate change. India is second, very important, in a very extreme zone, who is going to face the extremity because of this change in the climate. So entire Asia-Pacific region is going to witness a sea change particularly, and as a result of this, you all know that even in desert we have snowfall now. There is a growing sudden climate change is happening, sudden hot waves are happening, There are still, cold is faced by many other part of the world, which is otherwise a very hot region. So the climate change is also impacting the seasons also. Now the question, having said this, then what does it all mean to us? I think we have to really look at what is sustainable development. We have been talking about it. We have Education for Sustainable Development Agenda 2015, and we have done a tremendous progress promoting at least advocacy for education for sustainable development. But the question is that the crisis of unsustainability cannot be solved the kind of education that helped to create the problem. Because the education promoted only the economic track, economic growth. GDP is very important to us, not the environment and all that. So we have to really think what can be the new ways in which the education should be given to the new age people so that they understand the significance of environment and how we can secure the climate change, I mean the changes happening in the rise in the temperature and all that. Because we have to ensure that we have the sustainable future. We are aware that there are 3 pillars. United Nations in 2006 categorically mentioned about environmental dimension, social dimension and economic dimension. If you see in the last few years of time, rather a decade of time, our entire focus has only focused on 2 pillars, that is the social dimension and the economic dimension. We have knowingly or unknowingly ignored the environmental dimension, which is very, very important and all that one. Another important thing is that why we are not able to achieve this sustainable development in spite of having everything. And I find that there is the first important thing is policies. Fortunately, in the recent past, there has been a considerable progress, not only in India, across the world, putting policies in place. But having policies is not going to resolve the issue of sustainable development. What is needed is how we govern these policies. So governance of policy is very, very important if you really want to address the challenge of sustainable development. But I think much more important is attitude, how we look at this. So attitudes are equally important. If we cannot do this, we are not able to accomplish the sustainable development issues and all that. Having said all these things, I think the issue is that what we can do. So to examine this, we propose that, what we can do at an institutional level, what we can do at a national level, and what we can do at an international level. We felt that as an institution, PSSCIV, Central Institute of Vocational Education, is one of the unique institutions in the country. We thought, why not we can champion for this particular cause by taking some initiatives at institutional level. Now, in order to do so, we identified 5 major key dimensions. And I think you already know that the architect we have used for promoting greening is nothing but the architecture is sitting on the sharing the dais, and it is none other than Dr. Shamal Muzumdar. Can we have a round of applause for Shamal Muzumdar? Just to acknowledge it is his architecture, that's how we are working on promoting greening. There are 5 major dimensions. One is green campus, green technology, green community, green research, and green culture. Taking the advocacy for greening on this one, we are trying to adopt the guidelines which has been prepared by UNESCO UNIVOC. So it's a practical guide for technical and vocational education and institution. Through this platform, I would like to reach out to all those educational institutions. Kindly visit this website, UNESCO UNIVOC, download this guide, and it is a very practical guide to educate every one of us, whether you are a teacher, you are a scholar, whether you are an administrator, how you can inculcate this greening technical and vocational education into your practices and all that. So that is what has been our practice, what we have been doing. Now the question is why technical and vocational education is so important. You'll be surprised to know technical and vocational education is the largest consumer of natural resources and one of the largest polluter also. And that's why it is very, very important that we advocate understanding about greening TVET, entire TVET institution, because these are the outputs, these are the graduates who will be entering into the world of work, and if they know that what are the good practices they should follow, probably we can address the issues to some larger extent and all that. In order to do so, we have also followed the same thing. There are 5 dimensions we have adopted, like green campus, green technology. First thing what we did is green policy. So as an institution, this is the mission what we have proposed for green policy, that passive and vision that TVET institution should vigorously explore and develop the practical knowledge and green skills and technology. Now how we achieve and how we started our journey, a small case study, I will take it in the next few slides. The first thing is the entire journey has been, it's still going on, it's not yet achieved the final result. What we have done is, in the first phase, all the employees of this institution have been acquainted through the information, the quiz even, how much he or she is aware about the environment around them. The awareness program was conducted so that they understand what are the practices, what are the good policy interventions can be done, and that was done. In the second important phase, we started with getting involved. We wanted everybody on the board. It doesn't matter at what level he or she is working, but everybody should become a partner into our journey on greening initiative. So the second focus was on getting involvement, and that has actually resulted into policy development. So this green policy has been developed by taking the input from every employee of this institution. The third one was infusing green. This is very interesting and this is very important. How we can infuse green in various areas of work, that we will see with the photographs also. And the last one is transforming lives. That's how the entire design has been done of the greening initiative. So green policy, green skills, course design, capacity building program, and communities of practice has been there. Let me show you with some photograph to make evidence that what we are doing, what we are preaching, what we are practicing also. So let me begin with the greening campus. I think you are here already for almost 2 days. Am I right? Have you seen plastic anywhere? Yes, no? Thank you for your support also. Thank you for your support. So we are very strong advocacy that even in every place you will go there, you will find no plastic. Second important thing, what we have tried to do is that I think we already have a special place now for Friendship Garden, but we already started greening this campus. You have taken the tour around our campus, and we are so blessed that you are having enjoying the green campus around this one. So this is continue, it is not end, and we are continuing this one. Second important thing is water harvesting. So we have already initiated a project. All the water, every single drop we would like to utilize in this campus for the beautification of this garden. Second important thing is solar energy, using the green technology. When you will visit next month, you will find the entire electricity is coming from solar energy. 100 kilowatt will be supplied from solar. So what we preach, we try to practice, and we also would like to inspire others. It is not only we take the credit, but we also want to set an example. All those visiting us, they also can do in a little way our contribution for sustainable development. So third one is green community. As you can see here, all our employees are engaging with the local community nearby our institution. So our employees, our staff, our faculty, consultants are going, advocating the local community, even how to use the plastic, how to dispose all this, why you should not do this. Simple house practices we are advocating so that they can also bring, even carrying their own bag while they are going for the shopping. Even as simple as that, educating the local community has been our part and parcel of our initiative. Now coming back to the vocational education, which is very, very important. As I mentioned you in the opening spell that we have introduced employability skill. And as a part of advocacy on greening, we have introduced green skills as a part of integral component of this vocational education annual. So 17 sectors, all the curriculum has been embedded with green skill. So I think this is a wonderful step I feel this institution has taken for promoting advocacy for sustainable development. You can imagine 10 lakh students are going to be aware about green skills, will be benefited, and they will be conscious about their actions, what they are taking, so that they will be aware of how these are going to impact for the sustainable development. Just to illustrate with some images, you can see these are all the learning outcome-based curriculum which all highlight the different facets of green skills. So for class 9, then class 10, you can see here in the interest of the time, these are all available on our website. Please do visit our website and you can see more details about greening. We have a module only on employability skill which gives entire theory, practice, everything is there. Learning activities are there. Everything has been embedded into the learning curriculum. And so this is like 11th and 12th and all that. Now we have also started with greening initiative by creating capacity building. So you can see a photograph where we launched this year the first capacity building program as a master trainer for all the states in the region. And these are some of the visuals. We started with this. So this has already been taken into this. Having all done this one, when we conducted the capacity building program, we realized that sustainable development cannot be achieved through PowerPoint. It cannot be done through classroom teaching, and we need a fresh approach to our teaching learning. So what we strongly advocate from our experience is that we have to reduce the lecture. We have to reduce the classwork, memorization, textbook approach and abstract. Rather than our focus has to be more on discussion, more on debate. more on experimentation. That is what we do. More critical thinking, field work. These are very, very vital, important component if you really want to bring change into the teaching learning. In fact, it should reach out to the project. The student should investigate. As simple as that. Why don't we see butterflies in this campus? Why there are no so much butterflies, in spite everything is there? And the student should explore why it is so happening. Like this small problem can be given to the young students and let them investigate and understand our actions are how impacting to the environment and all that one. Last but not the least, the green culture. You can see here our campus, all the employees, and you can see the garbage we have collected. This is all because of the participation of our employees, faculty, colleagues, everybody. As a team, we are working on this one. So we started with this one. We know the journey is not yet completed. We are still marching on greening initiative under the able guidance of Dr. Shamal Muzumdar. We'll further take it up to the next level. But there are few experiences we would like to feel and propose here. The one important thing is, because we have a diversity in the region, diversity in the institutions also, we propose, we are working already on it, can we have a green index where educational institution on certain parameter using the same framework can come up with and understand how green they are. Not in terms of number of trees, but as a whole integrated concept of greening. So we have already developed a draft instrument, and we'll be happy if it gets validated by UNESCO, UNIVOC, or under the guidance of Dr. Shamal, so that larger education institution can be advocated, which is the area where they really need to improve, so that they really can be a green institutions and all that. Our next approach, we have done some effort. We feel that we'll focus more on energy conservation. That will be our next focus for greening initiative. How to reduce even waste. Though you don't see waste, but still we feel we know where the gaps are there. So we would like to commit ourselves for reduction in the waste. Even water is very, very important. I am told the next war, if it is going to happen in India, it will be war for water. So we would like to champion for this cause, for the advocacy of water conservations. So with this, let me conclude with a beautiful quote of Mahatma Gandhi, which is very inspiring when we talk about sustainability, is that the world has enough. The world has enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. Thank you everyone for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. Our next speaker will be Professor Shamal Muzumdar. He is going to talk to us development of integrated smart village using skills as a driver of change. He is going to bring lot of new information so that we'll be able to improve our villages, which will become smart villages. I request you to speak.
Good afternoon. I think this session will be a little bit long because so important issues are discussing. First of all, I like to thank the institute and staff and the faculty under the leadership of Rajesh. You are doing a very good job converting this simple institute to the Greening Institute. I am more delighted when I look at the program. The title of this session is TVET for Rural Transformation. For this, I like to specially thank you. I have seen thousands of conferences happening in India to make smart city, Industry 4.0, but very few people really deeply think that how TVET can really work for those remote places where there is no resources. They are migrating from there, the girls and students, leading a horrible life, and that VET can play a very important role, but they are not discussing that. So at least it is a very good beginning, and my deliberation will be on that. Actually, when I was working, I have almost 35 years of TVET experience. I never really, self-criticizing before you all, that always we work new innovation, new thinking, but all surrounding to the urban environment and industrial environment. lately in my career, I started thinking why we are not looking properly the rural sector and apply the technology on that. And with that in mind, it came a project idea called Developing Green Smart Village for Rural Transformation in response to Sustainable Development Goals. Is it not changing? Why? Oh. Yeah. Why this project? First, very quickly I have to say, is poor people live in a developing country, live in rural areas and dependent on agriculture. This is a worldwide phenomenon. In Africa, in Latin America, everywhere you will see, this is the phenomenon. Second, what happened? Is it not working? No? Climatic change is affecting the poor farmer disproportionately. The one Rajesh has told. The extreme, this climatic change and issue, who is the number one sufferer? The poor farmer. Why our onion price gone up so much? India is a country, we have produced so much vegetable, fruits and others. Sometimes we didn't pay anything. We are so fortunate country in this world. You walk around, okay, the market economy came, others. But we are going to, we had fantastic technological innovation we are doing. But when you look that basic thing like, agricultural, natural products is you are not getting. Why? Farmer has overused fertilizer, soil become non-productive. For short-term gain, it was used for green revolution, but now you are killing the whole soil. You have to regenerate the soil. Is there any science and technology to help you? Yes, there is a science and technology to help you, but we are not applying that at this moment all. I'm not mentioning some of the institutes are doing, I'm talking in large. It is not about India, I'm talking about the whole world. Third, poor quality, this is problem. Poor, low quality of life leads to silent migration from rural to urban. This is the serious consequence I am feeling now. This low quality of life in which happening, rural youth and girls, they are all migrating from rural to the urban area. I made a study, and I have in India 1 or 2 ITI, I have seen the curriculum. I was surprised. It is situated in a remote place, surrounded by agriculture and natural product. The courses they are offering is mechatronics, electronics, or whatever, IT and all. Then I take an interview. After doing what we will do, we will go to the city to get a job. So not only people has no livelihood, entrepreneurship and others, but also those institutions were supposed to help the local economy. We are preparing the economy for urban sector and forcing youth and girls to leave the rural sector. Indirectly, we are responsible. These are all going on the years after years. So what is happening? It is a very not respected occupation. Nobody will say farming is a very respected occupation. So, oh, you are doing farming. Immediately you will say, going to another topic. But entirely world is changing on bioeconomy, for your kind information. Next revolution is coming on bioeconomy. It is not robotics, it is not industry 4.0 in per se. So why the bioeconomy will come into a big way, you have to understand. So situation demands, which I have described, to reverse the migration and enabling an environment to support. So one of the mission and my goal is now to really do something that to reverse this trend, and let's go to the community, connect vet school with the local needs, train them, capacitate them, use science and technology and see what changes it can happen. With this an idea, when I look at the India local context, largest population of youth, 356 million. Only 5% youth engage in agriculture, doesn't find it respectable occupation. There is an exodus of youth from rural to urban areas. I have a lot of story I can share with you. Overexploitation of natural resources requires shift from traditional mode to science and science and technology mode. And it is not productivity versus sustainability, but it is productivity with sustainability. Means how you can increase productivity using sustainability principle. Therefore, we need urgently a pilot model attracting youth in agriculture, youth and girls in agriculture. With this in mind, we say why we want to do to combat the climatic change in agriculture and reverse the migration. What we are going to do, we will establish an integrated green smart village, not smart city only, green smart village, using skill as a vehicle for transformation. This using skill ecosystem as a driver and using science and technology at the grassroots. Where first pilot case we have understand, I'm working on almost 2 years with that institute that is in Sundarban area in Delta region, India-Bangladesh border, very remote place. Dr. Datto will give the full detail later on in his thing. Is a Ramakrishna Mission is running that. You all know Ramakrishna Mission. Many institutes are working in a very remote places 20, 30 years ago for the poorer rural youth. They have biotechnology institute there working quite a bit, but there is a really good ground to take that load. I'm very happy Spain Technica will also come forward to say, why not we do a twin model? So you want to experiment circular economy? Take a case study of developed country, take a case study of developing world, and you compare. This is a academically very rich research project. And at the same time, it is very useful that both of us will give the whole thing. As because it is a pilot, many countries want to join in, I know, but we will go step by step. Ultimately, we have to do it in higher form. The impact will be 50 green entrepreneur and 300 green ambassador to be trained. What do we want to do? The first thing we will do, build a unique approach of integrated smart village, sustainable model of appropriate use of resources and resilient technology, focusing on environmental friendly, science and technology powered, skill driven process. Industry 4.0 will be applied in agriculture. I know Siemens has come up with a course. It's a diploma program. Industry 4.0 for agriculture. We will start that program in a sense to give a vision that how Industry 4.0 is not just for industry and it is for the agriculture and social revolutions. The framework guides villages in setting their strategic direction to become smart. What exactly this? Very quickly. These are the dimensions. This slide is most important. The smart village should be climate smart, number one. That means you have biodiversity, you have to be reliant to the climate change, you have to use biofuel, biofertilizer, horticulture, all this aquaculture will come on the climatic change, whatever is affecting. Water smart, we have to go because drinking water is not there. We are wasting water like anything for farming because you need to feed only the root, whereas we are feeding entirely we are doing. Technology is there called precision farming and we can use the technology there to have a precision farming. It's not possible by human being, you have to be there. So similarly there are many other models are coming up for vermicompost and others with the climatic change recovery. The water issues will come in. Energy, like solar energy use. In many places they are not. But who will maintain the solar energy? This is the technical people, means vocational education, those pass out, 11, 12. We have to train them and go there to do this, the solar installation, commissioning and others. It should be technologically smart. It will be waste smart, like circular economy. We'll call zero waste economy. One of the process output will be input to others, and this way the chain will be circular, and that is the new research going on worldwide. So that need to be practiced in the rural setting. Health is a very important in rural sector, and we will be amazed to know, you know better than me, I have been not here for long, but I know the pain. Just to go for a blood test, blood pressure, and maybe diabetic something or chest x-ray, people are traveling 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers to get to a hospital, with whole entire day being gone. But why not we can start a cyber, like a medical kiosk system, like a cyber cafe? Train the people, run the show, there is a plenty of software. You can just send all this thing on the primary health center, connect with some good hospitals in urban sector or somewhere, and then you start doing. So health is a very critical issue, and you need to address that. Network smart. But all this thing will happen if you are skill smart. What is the skill smart? Means the institute has to train people to do all this thing in the system. So that's why the issue will be like this. Design philosophy is the project skill ecosystem as a driver, sustainability as motto, science and technology as vehicle, green smart village as aim. With this, what will it look like? How it will be developed? By providing capacity development using local skill ecosystem, supporting through research and development initiative, promoting innovation and incubation for smart farming. Korea has done, I have seen what is called incubation of smart farming. This is not only industry. The problem of the farm is coming to the lab, solving the problem, go back to the field, experiment, and academician has to do. So it is not only the skill organization has to do, they have to tie up with university and engineering, agricultural extension center and others. And then you have supporting green entrepreneurship and livelihood. So we intend to create a pool of green entrepreneur who will be champion at the same time business model and also championing greening. There will be green ambassador for the village. That will be the one diploma program. We are starting on that, and the output of that will be finally we will be picked up from those who are practicing as a green ambassadors. The whole idea is like this. How to build a sustainable village using skill as a driver? You have to be happy people and planet. People will be happy if they are prosperous, they have a livelihood, and they have a quality of life. Planet will be happy if you don't, recycle means you can keep their fertility, not destroy and sense of ecosystem being destroyed. So how you can keep this innovations? You have to do innovation in agriculture and natural product. You have to use different kind of technology. Education and skill will be the important factor. So that's why on the left, that is the educational institute who will be doing the capacity building in agricultural product through research, through capacity building, and they will be creating one pilot or two pilot village where this will be experimented. That institute, in our cases, we are talking of Technica and this Institute of Biotechnology in NIMPIT. They will have to interact with national agencies, with private sector, with different university and local ecosystem. This is the model that we are trying to do. That means one, on the ground providing the research. So this will be, we have to identify a cluster of village where we will experiment at that, and that will be the model village for showing how to really make sustainable things. It's a bit ambitious in a way, but very fruitful in nature. So that's why the typical activities very quickly now, we have this kind of activity will go on, like hand-holding, guidance, micro entrepreneurship, incubation, supporting job creation. So these all needs detailed discussion. Because of shortage of time, I'm not going to do, but these are the typical activity we are expecting from that. So how we are going to do that, you know that there are 17 goals, you have seen number of times, no poverty, no things. This is, you can call it SDG implementation in rural sector. So how rural sector will gain from SDG? This project will be that on that. So now one of the weakness of international organization, I have seen that no poverty, who addressed that? FAO. When you come to good quality education, who addressed that? UNESCO. When you come to the say decent job, ILO. So you have a different doctors, specialist. But you are the patient, you know. And sometimes I feel in going to a doctor, they will refer to a specialist. Specialist will say, your heart is okay, but I do not know why your problem is. Then you go to another doctor, they will say, oh, your vein and all are okay, but I don't know. You go to another doctor. We get puzzled then. To whom I will, why you are shifting me to the specialization? We need a general physician. When I was very young, I remember there was a lot of general physician taking very low fees. They can guide you properly to go to them. Similarly here, we need a general physician who knows everything where to go, not to the specialist one by one. So that's the point we have to harp, and that's why I will say this goal, like how many goals it can address if we do it very nicely. No poverty, that's goal 1. No hunger, because how come you say no poverty is coming, Dr. Majumdar? Because you are giving skilling and then asking them to be entrepreneur, you give the incubation support, you are making them ready. To give a donation is not a big thing. Just give teaching how you can fetch fish. They will earn the living on their own. That's the skill, and that's we have to do on that. So good health, quality education, gender equality, the focus will be on women. So I want to have one institute solely dedicated to girls on this issue. Responsible consumption and production, climatic change, life and land. So these all will be addressed. So with this, the possible impact will be improving youth and women employability in rural sector, integrating science and technology in agriculture and natural product, enhancing image of vocational education in rural sector. So people will be love to go. I can give you statistics in Europe now. Italy, young people are all going back to their village, starting green entrepreneurship program. They are going to be millionaire because there are really food crisis is imminent. The food crisis, food security problem is a worldwide problem now. Because that problem, we will have everything, but we do not have food to eat. We need to be self-sufficient on that. Ensuring food security, nutrient and restored land degradation, reducing forced migration from rural to urban, integrating intangible cultural heritage. In each of the village, you will see some kind of unique skill there, which is going to be extinct very soon if you don't preserve them. And that is also part of the project to take care on that. Improving quality of life and livelihood, development of green entrepreneurship and green embassy. And this one. So this is the idea of the project. For that, we really need a real, support from all the quarters. We will try to mobilize people, but the dream is will not limit it to 1 or 2, it will be scale up. But first we want to do the effective way to show the whole thing. Soon there will be coming a website where cross-sharing of the experience will be started on this, and I am sure with your guidance and feedback, our dream will come true today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for providing so much information. Let us come to one important aspect. This is a very important topic, not only for rural development, also for the whole country. When we consider industry participation, it starts from needs analysis, development of the curriculum, formative evaluation, development of learning materials, implementation, training the faculty, training the students, finally evaluating the outcome and redesigning a new program after some year. Industry is very much interested in development, not only for the country, for their own development. Next comes framework for analyzing state of the art. It's a very important area to redesign the various programs time to time with respect to new technologies, including Industry 4. Then greening the TVT for sustainable development. It's not only greening the TVT, greening the whole country so that we'll be dependent on development from the country. Let us not depend on other countries for importing oil or coal. Coming to increasing quality in the TVT system practice and approach. This is another important aspect we will be taking care of. How exactly we can increase the quality of the program to ensure the students will get excellent job, industry will get well-trained engineers, we can improve knowledge capital and also improve human capital. Coming to next aspect, development integrated smart villages is not limited to only villages, it can be a district, a state, a country. We have to really consider something more. The long run, we will be able to maintain our country without much import in oil or coal. We have to do that part. I congratulate all the speakers providing excellent information, making us more knowledgeable, and we can implement these things in our institutes, and also we can see that development creates a lot of economy. When we consider the word STEM, science, technology, mathematics goes into that one. Then we bring economics and management, and also think of firefighting, how exactly we will be able to cope up with the technological changes and also disruptions. I thank you all the 5 speakers providing all the informations. Any more requests?
Mr. Krishna Kapseti is also going to present in this session.
Yes, now we will request Dr. Krishna Bobsity, who can talk to us on biodigester technology for effective sewage treatment. This is a very important area. We will request him to provide the information. Thank you.
We have to reduce the time for 5 minutes because of
7 minutes?
yes, 7 minutes.
Diabetic people are asking for this.
Definitely let them go for the food.
After this,
Good afternoon, the panel members here, respected panel members, and good afternoon one and all. My name is Krishna Bobsity from Shubhra Biotech Private Limited, Hyderabad. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the company. I thank PSSCIE Bhopal, and especially my special thanks to Dr. Mujumdar and Dr. Rajesh Kambayat for giving me this platform to talk about importance of sanitation and hygiene to this august gathering here. I also thank Dr. Renuka Raju, CMD, COVIDA, for encouraging us to participate in this prestigious conference. Thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. Okay, now the topic I'm going to be discussing is going to be about sewage treatment, sewage management, which very few of us really think much. Because the moment the sewage gets out of our compound walls or boundaries, we forget about that. We think that it's no more our botheration. So today, the way we dispose our sewage is not just big challenge to the society, but also is a big threat to the environment. We are ending up cleaning rivers, we are ending up cleaning lakes and water bodies. Are we doing enough? Are we doing right is the big question. With rapid urbanization and increasing population, we are putting a lot of pressure on the government infrastructure to establish more sewage treatment plant. Lack of infrastructure is one of the major causes and a major problem. And it's very easy to blame the government today. Are they alone responsible? Will be one of my other question. The water which is freely available today may not be so in the future. Imagine a society where there is no water. Are we ready to live with no water or with less water? This crisis already happened in a place called Cape Town, South Africa, last year, where a water rationing happened. People were given a bucket full of 10-liter water per day. Do you think we should get into that kind of a situation? So today, the way we use water or the treat water is not correct. We don't respect water. It's time that we change our habits. Shubhra Biotech was established by Mrs. Shravanti Koduru and Mr. Srikanth Reddy in 2012. Shravanti Koduru is the daughter of Dr. K.I. Varaprasad Reddy, who is a Padma Bhushan Award winner, and he owns the company called Shanta Biotech. He's the chairman and managing director of Shanta Biotech Limited, Hyderabad. The objective of the company is to reduce, recycle, and reuse waste water by using biodigester technology from DRDO and also a simple reed bed systems. So right now I'll take you through a very small presentation. I'm not going to take much of your time. It's just a 5 minutes. I'll take 5 minutes of your time. Okay, these are the key challenges today we are facing. One is an open defecation, rivers and lake pollution, water scarcity, and untreated sewage. If you really see the crux of the problem, they all are interrelated. Okay, as far as the toilets are concerned, in 2014 and 2020, more than 1,035 lakh toilets were built all across the country. I think it's a great achievement from our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. We have to give a round of applause for him because he has established these toilets all over the country. And it is not a small task. It's a remarkable achievement. No government in the world has attempted or ever will attempt such kind of a task. And the second big problem still we have to address is our lakes and water bodies and rivers are getting polluted. If you really see that, as per the WaterAid Foundation, 80% of India's surface water is already polluted. And NMCG, National Mission for Clean Ganga, we need to constitute a mission, a program to clean one river. And this country has number of rivers. So do we understand the effort it takes to clean a river? That's another big challenge. Water scarcity. This is the situation happened in Delhi last year. We were able to get a photograph from that. A country which is so diverse and huge, we have 9 major rivers, 62 important lakes, 4,000 billion cubic meters of rainfall, and we don't have water to drink. Isn't it strange? According to the study, 21 cities will run out of groundwater, and this is a report of Niti Aayog. By next year, we may not have the groundwater, and cities like Delhi and Bangalore will run out of groundwater completely. So are we staring at a major water problem? The next important topic would be untreated sewage. So untreated sewage domestically, predominantly, is the big challenge again. It is responsible for contamination of our groundwater. 60% of the untreated waste and water gets into our river bodies and lakes, polluting them and contaminating them. More than 3.5 lakh children die just because of contaminated water due to diseases like typhoid, cholera, and many other diseases. So what is the solution?